What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Talkin Grizz. Today, representing the San Antonio Spurs is Kelcey Wright, a senior writer with NBA.com. Michael, thank you for being here today.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, so you are representing the Spurs, but first let's talk about the season they had. Obviously, they are known as this team that has great player development, so finding someone in that top 12 spot could be really beneficial. So in your eyes, looking at the roster they have, the coaching staff they have, what holes are they missing in this roster that's going to get them back into the playoffs this upcoming season?
Well, if you sort of take a look down the Spurs roster, they are a very guard and wing heavy team. Mm-hmm. They've only got two bigs on the roster, and more than likely, you probably have never heard of them before. Drew Eubanks and Jakob Poeltl. So those are literally the only two bigs they have on the roster at this point. You know, they bought out LaMarcus Aldridge and he subsequently retired. So I think with that 12 pick, they're going to have to go, big. I don't know if it's, a 4 or a 5, but you need somebody to protect the rim, play the type of defense that Pop is going to demand in San Antonio. And, offensively, he's got to be like a lob threat or somebody that can get buckets at some capacity.
Okay, so when I looked at the Spurs, I initially thought that Wagner would be a really good fit for them. He's a 6'9" wing. He's kind of that guy who just goes out and doesn't mess up, which I know Pop just loves coaching guys who are just fundamentally sound. Do you think he's a good fit for this roster then? Or do you think that the Spurs go for someone who's a big?
I think he's actually one of the better fits for the Spurs because he's like I told you, the Spurs are very guard and wing heavy, but they don't have any big wings like Franz. And, with him, he's a guy that right now, he can come right in and play the type of defense that the Spurs want to play because Pop is a guy that believes that the defense is what sort of churns out the offense. If you're taking care of business on the defensive end, you can get out and transition on offense. So that would definitely be the type of guy that the Spurs would want. And I think if he's there at 12, that's probably the direction they would go.
All right. Other than Franz Wagner, who else do you think could be a fit? Say he's gone, say he got picked up at 11.
Right. There's a couple people. I would say Jalen Johnson out of Duke, very instinctual guy, former teammate of Trey Jones, who they drafted last year. And, Memphis has another Jones on the roster.
We got all the Duke guys on our roster right now.
That's right. And Jalen, though, is a former 5-star, high school recruit. And, his career didn't necessarily pan out the way everybody expected it to. But, man, there's a reason that you're a 5-star pick. So I could see that definitely being an option for them. But another one is Kentucky's Isaiah Jackson, big guy, 6'10", explosive athleticism, can block shots, gets boards, all the things that the Spurs need from their big. So he's another legitimate prospect at that number 12 spot.
All right, so there's 3 options right there. Now I am, Michael, going to put you on the spot. You are going to represent the Spurs. You are now the GM for the Spurs for the next 30 seconds. So the number 12 pick, who are you taking?
I'm going to go with Franz Wagner because out of all these guys that I mentioned earlier, they're all young, they're all raw, and they don't have a lot of experience. Well, Wagner is a guy, and when it comes to the skills that translate on the NBA level, defense is one of them. And that is what he really excels at. And as I said earlier, he's a big wing. The Spurs don't really have any big wings. So, you need a guy that can switch, and a guy that's going to get after it on defense, because as I said, Pop, that's what, if you don't play defense playing for Pop, you don't play. You sit on the bench. So, he's a guy that could come in right away. And you know what? They really need something like that because, look, the Spurs have, missed the playoffs 2 years in a row. They've got a bunch of young guys on the roster, their best players, Patty Mills, he's a free agent. DeMar DeRozan, he's a free agent. So you're going to need someone to be able to come in and play immediately. And I think that Franz Wagner is that guy.
All right, so they're going to have 2 young guys. They'll have DeJounte Murray, Franz Wagner. It'll be a decent starting lineup. Personally, I hope that DeMar DeRozan goes back to the Spurs. I'm a big DeRozan fan coming from Toronto, but we'll see. So for everyone at home, Wagner is, I think he's 6'9" with like a 7'2" or 7'3" wingspan. He is
right.
like in his 2 years at Michigan, this like defense first player. And I think, like you said, I think role wise, he would fit just really well with the way Pop plays. So we're going number 12, Franz Wagner. Michael, thank you so much for your time and analysis. I really appreciate it. And Grizzlies fans, you can get more next week on grindcitymedia.com.